All right, today we have topic 3-4, supplements and complements word problems. We've learned in the previous what supplementary and complementary angles are, and in this topic we will be pulling information from word problems and solving for variables or measures of angles. All right, so let's look at a few examples here. The first portion, if we read the instructions, it's talking about, it says there are some verbal expressions that when written in algebraic expressions, a switch takes place. So let me pull up a couple of examples here. Example 1 and example 3. All right, so we're going to look at 1 and 3. The key terms that we will be looking for where a switch takes place are, you've got word or phrases such as less than, more than, taken from, added to. All of these four things you're going to see in these next four examples. So let's write as we go. I'm going to actually write what we're going to be looking at. So 3 less than a number. So we know we have 3 less than is going to be subtraction. Now, we found our key phrase here is less than. That means that all of this, all that we see here, will be moved. It will be moved towards the end and it will be switched. And then we have a number. A number is not defined, so we can call that our x. So, let's rewrite this. If we was to write this correctly after the switch, we have our x, and now we're going to switch these two, minus 3. So, 3 less than a number. We have number. Here's our number. 3 less than that, so we would subtract 3. Alright, let's move down and let's look at example 3. Example 3 has 11, so that's my number. I can put that on there. Added to, so there's a plus. Now, this phrase right here tells us that in the end, this is going to be moved to the end. So I'm going to go ahead and put that over the top of it. And let's go ahead and jump down. Let's continue to find. We have 3 times a number, so in that case you can put 3x. Now, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to say, well, here's our phrase that's going to need to move to the end. And I encourage you, as you're working through these examples, to be writing this above the problem itself. This will help everything stand out to you, and you can say, okay, now I know what I have to write and what my equation will look like. Your equation, you have 3, there's your x, this will go to the end, plus 11. So 11 added to 3 times a number. 3 times a number, then we add 11 to that. That takes care of some of our verbal expressions. Looking down below that, it says certain verbal expressions can be replaced with certain algebraic expressions when they are found in a word problem. They are. And we're looking at this. And slash the angle, we can put in our x for that. It's when it's before the word is. We will see that as we go. The main ones that we really need to focus on are the complement. When it talks about a complement, its complement, so on and so forth, you're going to use the expression 90 minus x. And whenever it talks about the supplement, anything dealing with the supplement will be 180 minus x. Alright, so with that being said, let's move to our next example. We have example 5. Find the measure of an angle if its measure is 60 more than that of its supplement. Alright, we're talking about an angle. Find the measure of an angle if its measure. So, let's look at where we are going to actually begin. Let's see, right here. This is the cutoff. All of this is just asking us what to find. It's telling us to find the measure of an angle. Now, we have, if its measure, if we look up and we talk about it, we're talking about an angle. This It's before the word is. So we're going to put that in for an x. That's its measure. Is, the word is. We've got equals. Whenever you see the word is, put an equals. 60 more than. Okay, so we've got a 60 and then a more than. That's going to be a plus. Now that's one of our key phrases here. So I'm going to put this over the top of it. Got to keep that in mind. 60 more than that of its supplement. And what do we put in whenever we see the supplement? We put in a 180 minus x. Now, I'm going to go back, and I know that this gets moved to the end. Now, granted, since it's on two lines, I'm not going to draw it all the way over here, but now that I work this problem out and I'm actually going to create the equation out of it, I can move it. So I have my x equal to, I know I'm moving this to the end, so now I'm going to put my 180 minus x. I have moved this, and I will switch them to a plus 60. Now we have our equation set up. We can go ahead and work this. We have an x equals, I can take this out of parentheses now, since there's a positive in front of it. No signs needs to change. So let's combine our like terms. You'll get an x equals 240 minus an x. I'm going to add an x to each side here. That will give me a 2x equals 240. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Divide both sides by 2. X then equals 120. Put me a box around that. If we read the question, find the measure of an angle. If its measure, so there we go, it's telling us that's its measure is x. So once we find x, we have found the measure of that angle. Alright, so let's move on. Example 7. Example 7 says find the measure of an angle if its measure is 81 more than twice its supplement. Alright, so I know that this is where it begins. All this is asking us what to find. Its measure is, so there's our x. Is an equal sign. 81 more than, 81 plus. Now what do we know about that? We know that this will need to go to the end. And then twice its supplement. So whenever we have twice, we're going to multiply 2 times its supplement, which we know is a 180 minus x. Alright, so let's write our equation out. We have an x equals, we're going to move that to the end, so now I'm going to have a 2, 180 minus x, and then plus 81, since we're switching these. Remember, a switch occurs. Alright, so let's go ahead and work this out. We have our x equals 2 times 180, give us 360. 2 times negative x minus 2x plus 81. Alright, combine our like terms. X equals 360 plus 81, 441, minus 2x. Alright, so now we're going to add 3x to both sides. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. I'm sorry. We're going to add 2x to both sides. So plus 2x. I was getting a little bit ahead of myself because here you will have 3x on this side. 3x equals a 441. And then lastly, we're going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. we'll have x equals 441 divided by 3. You can put that into a calculator if you need to. You will get a 147. So the measure of an angle, which is our x, is 147. Now, if we're dealing with this, another thing that we might want to think of, how do we define, I failed to put this on the one before, but how do we define measures of angles? What do we write those in terms of? In terms of degrees. Alright, so now let's move on along to our last example. Example 9. Find the measure of an angle if its supplement is 113 degrees. So here's our if. So this is where we're starting. And let's go ahead, its supplement, so we know that is a 180 minus x is, and then we just have our 133. Alright, simple enough. Let's go ahead and simply write that down. I'm going to go ahead and pull these out of parentheses. We've got a 180 minus x. Go ahead and fix that x a little bit. Is, or equal sign, 133. At this point, we can simply subtract 180 from both sides. That will leave us with a negative x over here. Negative x equals 67. Whenever you do this, that's what you should get, 67. Now, I'm sorry, a negative 67. So now we have a negative x and a negative 67. Simply change the signs of everything throughout. We're going to multiply essentially by a negative 1 to give us what our positive x equals, which is a positive 67. And don't forget, at this point, put your box around it. Remember, try to stay as neat and as organized as possible. I know some of you have problems with that, but that will help you in the end, especially here whenever you're having to pull information from a word problem. It will really help you keep things in order and keep things organized so that way you can come up with the correct answer as quickly as possible.